How you doing?
Good, Myles. Good to see you, bud.
You too. You too. Glad you could join us today. I'm really excited to have you on this podcast. This is my actual first podcast with Global, so I'm excited to tell the world about what you're doing.
We'll try and set the standard and make it really tough for everybody else.
So everybody, I got this is Mitch. He is the executive director with the Red Deer and District Food Bank. Mitch, tell me how did it come to be that you came to the food bank?
Wow. So long background. I did many other things. Finished a turn on council in another community. Have a little energy business, and life was pretty good. The 30 or so foster children I cared for over the last 15 years had a different story. And even some of the kids I raised myself out of the system struggled. And so the food bank for me was an opportunity to give back. And it was an organization I thought I could impact in a positive way. So it feels good, and I'm enjoying the experience.
Mitch, you've kind of you've brought a different lens to the actual sort of, I guess, the food bank model. I see it more as more of an innovative business approach than rather, or even like a proactive approach, I guess. How, again, like food banks are always often seen as reactive, meeting emergency needs. What kind of led you and your team to shift to a more of a proactive social enterprise approach?
If our nonprofits could be a little bit entrepreneurial, and our businesses can remain socially conscious, we can make a bigger difference. For food banks are known to hand out, salty and stale things and respond, and they always have their hand out. I wanted to create an organization that was sustainable, that was innovative, that was leading. That's something that I'd be proud of. And I thought the way to do that would be to add some entrepreneurial systems into support the incredibly caring individuals that traditionally work in these spaces. And it's been a natural fit. And we're failing fast and pivoting and working at new things, and we're having a lot of fun.
So, and speaking about that, like, how do you think people's view of the food banks, particularly the Red Deer one, obviously where you're at, has changed as you've introduced these new initiatives?
Well, I think people are seeing us as innovative. I think they're seeing us as more solution oriented. We are a sustainable organization in many ways. We are diversifying our revenue streams. We're teaching people to fish, as the old adage is. And by building skills, building community, and building stronger systems, we are having a greater impact. And it is about reducing hunger tomorrow, not just alleviating it today.
Well, let's dive into some of the initiatives that you just talked about that you guys have been doing. My favorite, and when you took me on that tour back in December or January, I was blown away. I was blown away by your indoor container farms, I guess. Would that be the correct term?
Yeah, so controlled environment agriculture is a space where you control a room, you can, the environment in that space, and you grow food hydroponically with grow lights. In our space, we have several of these units now. Grow about 1 million cherry tomatoes, or pardon me, dwarf tomatoes in 700 square foot indoor space. We're growing lettuce, Swiss chard, radish, spinach, kale, bok choy in another one. We have a greenhouse out back that does all your hothouse foods, your peppers and cucumbers and zucchinis and things like that. We're growing microgreens in grow tents, and we're just about to.
So when you're talking, I mean, 1 million tomatoes.
It's on Do Not Disturb, so I'm not seeing any, but it could have happened. It's not coming through. Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna do. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Are we good? Okay. Let's go back then, Mitch. So, do you want me to just start at the indoor container gardens or the container farms? Okay, let's do that. So, Mitch, when we're talking about the initiatives that you're doing at the Red Deer uh, Food Bank, let's talk about the indoor container farms. Absolutely. When you took me on a tour and I took a look at you're showing me all the different containers and the indoor growing operation that you have in producing food. I was just blown away. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so really what this is, it's controlled environment agriculture. And to get a sense of why we're doing it and then how it's been achieved, first off, fresh produce is something that food banks rarely receive for most times of the year. We're rarely in any form of abundance. People go without, and that affects their diet. Now, for a food bank, we often don't have the cash flow to continue to buy fresh produce throughout the year. So getting into controlled environment agriculture was a strategic decision we made. Basically, you take a container or an indoor space and convert it into a hydroponic food farm. We operate several of these now. We grow microgreens in one area of the food bank, things like broccoli and brassica blend sprouts. In another area, we grow dwarf cherry tomatoes. Will grow over 1 million dwarf tomatoes this year. In a pecan, we grow lettuce, and we harvest about 400 head of lettuce a week. We grow Swiss chard, bok choy, kale, spinach. We operate a greenhouse where we grow green peppers and we grow cabbage, zucchini, and these are all 4-season grow operations. And in these spaces, my initial intent was to be able to offer 1 or 2 fresh items in every food hamper that we provide. Now, the Red Deer feeds 30,563 people. And when I consider the number of houses or households we serve each week, we're now providing 3 or 4 fresh food items in every hamper every time somebody comes in the door. Now, looking at that more entrepreneurially, we can grow a head of lettuce for 33 cents versus, $3 at the store. We are producing twice what we need so that we can take food to market and ensure that our programs are sustainable. So people can find our food at Nutters and they can find it in some of the other venues in the community. And when they purchase that food, it helps us to continue to deliver on our mission.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. And so you touched on it, like as far as perfecting that fresh food, the long term impacts. I mean, just towards the food insecurity is.
Yes. So when you look at the long-term impact, right? For us as an organization, we can continue to provide this food, month after month, year after year, and that's great because we're helping to alleviate hunger as it happens. But 39% of the people that receive this food are kids, right? And when you take fresh produce out of their diet, kids suffer. They suffer at school. Their focus and stuff isn't there. And we know as adults that when we're hungry, that's often what where our focus is, right? So by giving people good, healthy food, we're enabling them to tackle the things in their day. Now, by doing it in an entrepreneurial model where there's actually revenues coming back from our operation to support our operation, it gives us more chance to continue to invest in these types of initiatives. And it moves us from being that salty, stale organization that provides canned and dry goods continually to an organization that is truly looking after the nutritional needs of the community and has the ability to continue to do that for as long as the need exists.
That's fantastic. I mean, and again, learning more earlier this year on what you were doing, particularly that, as far as the fresh produce and supplying that, it's been absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's just incredible. I want to, I want to shift into the kitchens, the community kitchens, sure, and the catering. So since we're talking about growing your own food, I imagine that you're using that food for these initiatives as well. But if you want to touch maybe on that.
Sure. So there's a lot of crossover. Okay. So when you look at the fresh food that we produce, we want it to be used and used well. So in our commercial kitchen, first off, a food bank without a commercial kitchen is hampered in what it's able to do. Long story short, food banks of old could only hand out those dry, stale goods. Our food bank has a commercial kitchen. It enables us to process the food that we have to ensure that we get the greatest utility out of it. But food banks aren't known for having large staff complements and a whole bunch of extra skills. So in order to be able to maintain the staff, to be able to provide the service in our kitchen, we needed to develop some revenue streams. And so the Red Deer Food Bank purchased some food trucks, some barbecue trailers, and we went to the community and we purchased food and we sold food. And we profited from that catering endeavor. And the profits from that endeavor allow us to maintain staff throughout the year to continue to process and create greater utility. Now, people don't really understand what that looks like sometimes. And so I often use some examples after Christmas, when we got 700 turkeys one year, after Christmas, when we got 16,000 pounds of sweet potatoes another year, we're able to take those items in our kitchen and break them up or cook them up and do something with that. In the sweet potato space, we were making jambalayas and curries and soups. For weeks on end, we were feeding meals out to hundreds and hundreds of people. The kitchen enables us to do that, and the culinary services we provide through mobile food service allows us to afford the staff to be able to do that. And it creates a revenue stream that continues to support us. Now, where culinary services meets our gardening programs is those foods that are fresh that come into that we produce and bring into our kitchen. We actually use them for programs like Meals on Wheels. A few years back, Meals on Wheels had to take the fresh elements out of the food they were providing to isolated seniors because it was more costly to add a salad than it was to add a chicken breast. Today, we're taking our lettuce, we're taking our tomatoes, we're taking our produce. We're able to introduce salads and fresh food back into the Meals on Wheels program. 60 to 80 health compromised people each and every day are now getting nutrition to help them in the latter stages of their life. We do the same thing for caregivers caring for people with dementia and Alzheimer's through another program. So food is the ingredient for health and quality of life. And through our commercial kitchen, we're able to, extend that outreach because of the gardening that we're doing. And it's been incredibly positive for us.
Excellent. So you have your commercial kitchen, but I think you also have the community kitchen as well.
Yeah, so we do teach as well. And so if you could consider the food bank of old again, people from all walks of life sometimes need a little assistance. 51% of the people we served last year were only here to use the food bank once or twice. But we do serve populations of people that have many struggles, right? They may be new to the country. They may be marginalized in some way. They may face other barriers because of a disability, addiction, or other factors. In our teaching kitchen, we teach our clients how to prepare the food that we have to offer to ensure that they know how to use it and store it and stretch it themselves, to ensure that they have the ability to feed themselves and those dependent on them. But it also gives us the ability to do cultural programs and community outreach. I often share a story about being a kid and sleeping at a friend's house that came from a different culture than I did. And I woke up to a bowl of rice with little fish in it. And I wasn't used to that for breakfast. Some of the food that we have available to us may not be familiar to everybody that we serve. And so in our kitchen, we teach basic skills. We teach people how food is used around the world. And we try to share and build community that way. It also gives us the ability to flash freeze food and freeze dry it and dehydrate it and teach people about canning and those things, which builds capacity in the community. Further to that, we have the ability to bring groups in to cook it forward or to come and have a wine and cheese and learn a skill and make a little profit off of that endeavor so that it, again, supports our kitchen and supports our initiatives.
Wow. So much going on that you guys have implemented. It's a lot. In 4 years, what you've done is pretty incredible. I want to learn about the challenges. Like, what have you learned? Like, what have been some of the challenges that you experienced that you've really taken this model and you've really turned it in a way that's being more self-sufficient, it's more entrepreneurial. Tell me some of the challenges.
But we're not like other organizations in in that it takes a team to do anything well. When I arrived at the food bank, there were 7 staff and 150 volunteers, and all 7 staff had the title manager. It took kind of peeling back the onion one layer at a time and looking at our systems, trying to develop capacity and understanding so that our staff team understood how each of the facets of what they were doing impacted the whole. And then communicating what our needs are to the community so the community could get behind us. That human resource piece is always the biggest piece of corporate development when you're trying to create a new culture. The food bank used to discard about 2 14-yard bins of waste a week. We've been running now for about 3 years at zero waste. And having good practice and having people understand how the operations we have need to run efficiently like a business makes a difference while still maintaining that core value of caring for people first. On the other side, people are, sometimes they get tired of hearing the food bank has a need. Our need has more than doubled in the last 4 years, and the economy's been tough, so it's been harder on a lot of our donors as well. And so trying to grow in this space, we have been communicating our desire to be more entrepreneurial, so we're not coming to the community as much with asks, but we're also challenged in raising the funds to do the work that makes the biggest difference. And so it's a bit of a balancing act.
But again, it's just so impressive on what you've done and what you guys have done there. Let's talk about partnerships and collaboration. You mentioned going back into the community. Who has really stepped up to support these initiatives? Is it local businesses, governments, other partnerships with nonprofits? How's that going?
So in our space, food bank was traditionally supported with 20s, 10s, and 50s from the community. There was under 20 organizations or people on our donor list that contributed more than $1,000 in the year prior to my start. And so it was a really lean and mean kind of a budgeting process. Growing partners like our service clubs, our Rotarians, our Kinsmen, our Kiwanis, our Knights of Columbus, all of those groups makes a huge difference. Working with government, obviously, and chasing grants is big, but we traditionally are not government funded. And so things like private foundations, fundraisers, food drives with faith groups are huge for the food bank. And it really is our superpower. I think community is what enables us to do what we do, and it empowers us in every way. So partnership is probably the biggest positive, the biggest area of focus that we have to have. And when we have 150 volunteers in each month, we probably still have 30 corporate or community groups in at that same time. And so we're always working to maintain those relationships. We wouldn't have the ability to do what we do without the volunteer, and we certainly wouldn't have the ability to maintain the operation without the time, talent, and treasury that comes from the community abroad.
Right.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Mitch.
I would then probably turn the page a little bit and say that I'm really focused myself on the work that organizations like Global can do with us, where we're starting to really hone in our attentions to connect with foundations, to align with organizations that are trying to make an impact in the same space as we are, and can't say enough about the value of developing those relationships and having good stewardship.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you talked, I'm just coming from my fundraising brain. When you are like a case for support, or when you're talking about impact now, especially with the model that you've introduced, does that help you secure? Do you find it more like people are more willing to invest back into the cause?
Yeah. So when you ask somebody to buy a bag of groceries, they know that bag of groceries is going to get eaten and consumed, and then somebody's going to need another bag of groceries. But when you suggest to somebody that you need a little bit of funding to invest in the capital to grow food so that you can continue to do it yourself. That opens eyes and ears. When we go to the community and say, hey, we need a little more storage space, we need a little more structure so we can properly manage inventory, and here's why and how it makes a difference. They start to realize that having a strategy and a plan and not just responding makes a difference. We've been able to find some other neat areas where the community has really shown support as well. We do benefit wayfinding, volunteer income tax, financial literacy, and other programs outside of our kitchen that also help to develop skills. And in our gardens, we do growing and we teach those things as well. So the community seems to be more willing to support us in the capacity development space and in the capital to complete the job well.
Nice. Excellent. So when we talk about dignity and innovation, how do you contribute, or how do these enterprises contribute to restoring dignity into the food bank experience?
So that's a great question. So let's talk a little bit about time and place and how we're trying to achieve that. 1 in 4 Albertans, 1 in 4 Canadians in 2024 and 2025 across the country were deemed food insecure. This is a travesty, and it's at a proportion we've never seen in our country before. The sad truth is that more than half of those people that are struggling will continue to struggle and never don the door of a food bank because of the stigma and the shame that they have or may feel just to ask for help. And so in our space, it is about caring and understanding that and trying to break down those barriers. We do lots of little things. We have a tool now that allows us to translate language, more than 400 languages and dialects based on country and region. It creates two-way conversations back and forth, and creating better communication sometimes supports greater understanding. The biggest transition that we're making in this space right now is actually we're doing some fundraising to develop our grocery store model, where clients will be able to come in and completely choose the foods that they wish to eat within parameters. Studies show that people that are given choice and autonomy will waste less food and take less food. And so we've always been a substitution model. We try to provide the best we can for everybody, but it's tough. Creating a space that's welcoming, that gives people choice, offering the counseling services that we do in our benefit wayfinding and other, being able to communicate makes a difference. And then we've done some other things in the last couple of years that I think are also supportive. And that's we have accessibility widgets on our website and translation tools. We've added wheelchair accessibility and ramps and proper doors and things. So we're trying to do more to make people comfortable and telling the story in a way that people can resonate. Whether somebody packed your lunch, gave you a ride to work, gave you a hand somewhere, lent you $5. We all need help sometime. And most of the people that are here are just here, because they need a little something, and we're able to help, support them and their family in a way that gets them to the next.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I want to talk about vision next. So what's next, Mitch? What's next? Tell us what's down, if you can, if it's not secret.
Yeah,
Something that you can tell us.
the Red Deer Food Bank has some really large announcements that will likely come to the forefront in the next couple of months. But next for us, we are farming in the agricultural space. We produce more than 5,000 pounds of fresh produce off of an acre of land. Each one of these sea cans produces enough food as 2 to 3 acres of land. We are actively pursuing land through land trusts. We are partnering with municipalities in extra garden space and looking at all of the opportunities that exist that way. We are exploring partnerships that will support culture and community building around food. And so there will be a day when people will be able to come to the food bank farm to see their food grown, to help grow their food, learn how their food is used, the value of that food, and pay it forward in other ways. But if I went directly to social enterprise, we are a non-profit food service provider. And there's no reason we could not provide institutional meals or food service to large organizations or small. We're equipped to do it. We have the procurement skills, we have the culinary skills, and we have the ability to deliver. So those are areas where people will see more from this food bank in the future as we grow as an organization to better serve our mandate or the need, but develop capacity. In the last 4 years, we've grown from 7 staff to over 30, and doing it not based on greater donations, but on entrepreneurial systems that work.
Excellent. That's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's truly what you guys are doing has massive, massive community development and impact, and it's so good to see. I really hope people are watching this and learning and interested in what you're doing, because it's very innovative, and it's, I think, in our realm of things, especially working in the social sector, the social purpose or sector, that we are trying to make that difference and trying to make it better overall for everybody. So.
Myles, I think that's happening, right? Whether it's because we're collaborating with, people in recovery from the Dream Center, or we're working with a housing organization on a golf tournament, or, there's so many ways that together we can make a difference, and the innovations out there.
Absolutely. So I want to know, as we come to the end here, on a personal level, what keeps you motivated to keep pushing the boundaries?
Yeah, so my aptitudes were always business and psychology. So it feels great making a difference, but I want to make sure that the dollar that I invest goes as far as it can, and I feel incredibly responsible for the dollars that others invest as well. So as we see these systems grow and develop more capacity, we are making a difference on the front line. We are solving problems for people. We are creating employment, we're creating skills, we're supporting people in the space they are, and we're breaking down barriers. So all of those things feel really, really good. And in a personal way, I feel good seeing the next generation of food bankers stepping up and developing skills and bringing new ideas to the table and solutions, and doing it in ways that respect the people with lived experience and involve them in our decision making. So it's a really positive place to be at a really difficult time in history, and it feels good.
Mitch, it's been an absolute pleasure
Myles,
interviewing you today on this podcast. It's been phenomenal. Again, I feel that what you're doing at the food bank, the approach that you've taken and you're implementing, again, I think it's something that everybody needs to hear. I think it's something that is very proactive, and you're creating sustainability. And just looking at it from an entrepreneurial way of things is quite commendable. So I appreciate this time today. Thank you so much for carving 45 minutes out of your day to talk. And I look forward to seeing what more is down the road for the food bank.
Thanks so much, Myles. We appreciate sharing and learning from yourself and the other great people doing the work in this space. Thanks so much.